Malaysia's state election this year will be held in Selangor, Kelantan, Terengganu, Negeri Sembilan, Kedah and Penang on August 12th. Now, the polls come some 9 months after last November's inconclusive general election. Now, many political observers expect a fight in Pakatan Harapan ruled Selangor and Negeri Sembilan states with opposition Perikatan Nasional to be tight.
Selangor is the economic powerhouse of Malaysia, contributing about a quarter of the country's GDP. Last year, the state grew over 11%, surpassing the national growth rate of 8.7%. Led by Pakatan Harapan since 2008, the state has been the anchor of Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's People's Justice Party, or PKR. But in the 15th general election last November, the opposition, Perikatan Nasional, bagged 6 out of 22 federal seats in Selangor. It was driven by the so-called Islamic Green Wave that's now threatening to wrest control of Pakatan Harapan's crown duo.
Yeah, they are targeting 33, but we are targeting 45 to 50 seats. So they also understand that it's not an easy task. They know that our supporters will not vote them, but they are targeting the UMNO members or UMNO supporters.
There are 56 seats in the Selangor State Assembly, and 39 are predominantly Malay seats. A simple majority of 29 seats is needed to rule the state. PH is counting on its coalition partner, UMNO, to regain support of Malays, majority of whom voted for PN in the last election.
UMNO has a very good networking and grassroots in the rural areas, which is that area is a bit black area for us for so long. The north of Selangor, especially in Sabak Bernam, in Kuala Selangor or Tanjung Karang. Hopefully they can convince the supporters.
But that may be easier said than done, as some among UMNO grassroots still resent having to work with decades-old rival DAP in a unity government that's barely 7 months old, and the risk of them boycotting the state election or worse, switching support to PN is there.
We are in the midst of mitigating it to make sure they understand that this collaboration is between Barisan Nasional and Pakatan Harapan, not the DAP. This is the only window after 3 terms the opposition in Selangor, we can form the state government together.
Perikatan Nasional, meanwhile, is seizing on the discontentment to further drive a wedge among coalition partners.
And it is not an issue of green wave. It is a wave of discontent among the people. People wanted to know within 100 days, what can you do? Now it's 7 months. There's no direction, no solutions. The leadership is weak. Look at the ringgit. Okay, ringgit is weakening. Now it's almost 4.7.
Political analysts say Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's administration has its work cut out to explain to voters the short-term economic pains that Malaysia is going through.
They'll probably try to pin that on the unity government and, blame that on the unity government rather than on global trends, and hoping that voters realize that, don't understand that it's part of global trends and then blame it on the unity government.
Selangor has the largest pool of eligible voters at over 3.7 million, and some are tired of endless politicking.
Saya rasa majoriti lah rakyat sengsara dengan dalam 7 bulan ni.
Ini hari yang kau jadi pimpin, kau ada boleh buat, kenapa kau tak buat?
It's unfair kalau kita nak judge in a short period of time.
With its unique arch roots, the Negeri Sembilan State Assembly showcases its Minangkabau heritage. The state will be another battleground to gauge support, especially among Malays, for Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's unity government. Prior to its dissolution, the 36-seat Legislative Assembly was dominated by Pakatan Harapan with 20 seats, while its former rival, Barisan Nasional, held the rest. But both coalitions are now fighting on the same side against the opposition Perikatan Nasional.
Now, while the 11 non-Malay seats won by the Democratic Action Party are considered fixed deposit for Pakatan Harapan, The same thing can't be said for the rest of the Malay majority seats, especially those in rural areas where the real fight is. Now, it's also for the first time the alliance between BN and PH, two coalitions that were once arch rivals, are being put to test. Already some voters are confused. The alliance is seen as awkward and strange, they said. After all, BN and PH have been on the opposing side for decades.
他用把 BA 的人呢就很乱了哦，投票的人很乱，哎呦，是一下子你换了人嘛，啊，换了人他们很乱，不知道选哪一个。
Both PH and BN leaders appear upbeat, united by their common goal to stop the green wave.
Tadi wartawan boleh tanya, boleh kerja sama dengan UMNO tak? Ya. Cakap mestilah boleh. You see all these are UMNO leaders.
So far semua accept, tak ada masalah besar walaupun pada awalnya tu memang ada kita nampak ada ni pertanyaan-pertanyaan.
You see, for us, whether got green wave or not, we still have to move on and work with UMNO to make sure the victory of Kerajaan Perpaduan in Negeri Sembilan.
Opposition Perikatan Nasional is hoping for swing votes from UMNO support base that's still upset with the alliance, as some still see DAP as anti-Malay and Islam.
We can give a good fight. Point I can see that it's almost 50-50 because of the Malay swing, and our chances are really good if we can get all the Malay seats.
Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, who's been crisscrossing the states to drum up support, stressed that only a strong and stable government will spur development and benefit the people.
Negeri Sembilan seems to be quite key in terms of investment outside Lembah Kelang, and with the availability of ports and proximity to the highway, to the airport, it has enormous potential.
His promise to rid corruption, raise civil servant salaries, attract investment and speed up development in the state.
First time dalam sejarah, inilah Perdana Menteri yang dapat membantah rasuah. Sekurang-kurangnya lah, dia banyak kelemahan dia. Tapi satu, dia bantah rasuah tu satu perkara yang patut kita hormati lah.
While PH and BN are expected to continue rule Negeri Sembilan, the incumbent Chief Minister Aminuddin Harun said it's still early days.
You think green wave got chance in your state under your watch?
Hopefully no.
Huh?
Hopefully no.
Hopefully no?
No chance.
No chance.
Hopefully. But it depends on when we have a campaign. We start campaign, we know.
Despite the Chief Minister's confidence, speculation that both PH and BN coalitions want their candidates to be the next Chief Minister, if they win the post, only makes for an uneasy alliance.
The Malaysian states of Penang and Kedah are located next to each other, but the political landscape there is far apart. While Penang is a bustling melting pot of races and religions, Kedah is steeped in Islamic religious values, and these differences will shape how voters will choose their political leadership in the upcoming state elections.
In the last state election in 2018, Pakatan Harapan swept 37 out of 40 seats in Penang. Despite defections in the so-called Sheraton move in February 2020, Pakatan has still managed to hold on to its supermajority in Penang. But all this may change. The opposition, Perikatan Nasional, comprising Bersatu, Islamic Party PAS, and Gerakan are eyeing 15 Malay majority seats, plus additional 5 mixed seats in Penang.
If we cannot win the state election, we cannot become the government of the Penang states, then we also want to be the strong oppositions for Penang states to do the check and balance.
Housing and property, he pointed out, are now priced out for locals, who continue to be gripped by water, traffic and flood woes. But the state government, led by Democratic Action Party, is confident of winning at least 30 of the 40 seats up for grabs.
Our Prime Minister has been going the whole country, meeting and engaging with voters, particularly for Penang. He has delivered on the promise of the LRT, for example, and other projects. I believe that many voters will be able to see that it's important for the unity government to be strong at the federal level so that Penang ultimately will benefit.
Zariel, who is also DAP's Assistant National Publicity Secretary, said a high voters' turnout of at least 70% is absolutely crucial. Penang, he said, has done well economically. But opposition coalition PN claim that it's ahead of PH in social media campaign. As a result, they could read the pulse of young voters better. Meanwhile, political analysts warn that support in Malay seats might swing along the trajectory seen at the 15th general election, where opposition Perikatan Nasional won 3 federal seats.
DAP I think will be fine. They just have to make sure turnout is up, but they have to make sure that they have enough. They win enough Malay legislators to show that it's not just entirely DAP dominated.
Chief Minister Chow Kon Yao, who's from DAP, will have his work cut out to ensure equal economic development in both island and mainland, as well as demonstrate inclusivity for all Penangites.
Now, while the outcome of the 15 Malay majority state seats is anyone's guess, what's for sure is Perikatan Nasional will be pulling out all stops to ensure that the Pakatan Harapan state government is denied the 2/3 majority in a bid to destabilise Prime Minister Anwar's unity government.
Kedah is a place where the political tides can shift dramatically. Since 2008, the state government has changed hands 4 times. But in the last general elections, Perikatan Nasional established its dominance in the state, winning all but 1 of the 15 parliamentary seats. Kedah serves as an important gateway for PAS and Perikatan Nasional's power expansion into Malaysia's west coast, and so securing victory in the state is crucial. Now, following their resounding triumph in the recent general elections, can PN continue its winning momentum here in Kedah? Leading the charge is PN's poster boy Muhammad Sanusi Muhammad Noor. He became Kedah's chief minister in 2020 following the infamous Sheraton move. The 48-year-old is a polarizing figure in the political arena, but is highly adored by the locals. Under his leadership, Kedah has attracted billions of ringgits of investments and created thousands of new jobs in the state. And it's this track record that PN is banking on to secure a whopping 33 of the 36 seats up for grabs.
Pada 2020 sampai 2023 ini telah menampakkan keberhasilannya daripada integriti kepimpinan, dari segi ketulusan kepimpinan, dari segi kesungguhan kepimpinan, dan inilah poin utama bagi untuk menarik minat pengundi-pengundi dan juga rakyat Kedah khususnya dalam untuk mengekalkan kemenangan di Kedah ini.
Kedah, known as the nation's Rice Bowl state, has recently been the focal point of government projects and high-profile visits, underscoring the importance placed on winning over Kedahan's support. The Unity Government Alliance, comprising Pakatan Harapan and Barisan Nasional, both of whom had governed the state before, pledges additional development in areas such as agro-technology if voters align with the federal power. To show his coalition's commitment, the Prime Minister himself has made multiple visits up north to announce greater government funding for the state.
Untuk pembangunan Kedah, ini saya sebut sikitlah, pasal ini emang mesra. Pasal orang Kedah ni dia kata saya tak bagi peruntukan. Peruntukan 1.57 bilion ringgit, 455 projek. Pegawai daerah pun tahu. Ya. Soal pembangunan rakyat ni jangan kira partilah.
But observers say it will still be a tall order for the unity government to wrest Kedah. The carrot and stick approach, they say, might not work. Moreover, PN's influence extends beyond the rural Malay majority areas, reaching into areas with a sizable minority population.
Voters are not stupid, right? I mean they know, okay, if the government wants to channel development funding and projects, to their areas, they gladly accept it. Right? It doesn't mean that they will vote for the government's coalition. It's very difficult for PH and BN to to mount a serious challenge to the current PN dominance in the state. I mean, they can minimize the damage done by maximizing the voters turnout by non-Malays.
In this upcoming state elections, the unity government's alliance is going all out to win all 6 states. They're setting aside internal differences, with even the Borneo bloc pledging support for the Peninsula parties. While the state elections have no direct impact on the federal administration, the campaign period is expected to be an intense battle, as both government and opposition look to establish dominance in Malaysian politics. Malaysia's opposition coalition Perikatan Nasional, which rules Kelantan, Terengganu and Kedah, is widely expected to hold on to its power in those states. Now, observers say the once dominant UMNO, which is now allied with Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's Pakatan Harapan coalition, could be wiped out entirely on the East Coast if the so-called green wave voting patterns in the 2022 general elections hold. Kelantan holds a special place in the hearts of the faithful. With a population of around 96% Muslims, the state is often dubbed as the veranda of Mecca and is celebrated for its Islamic learning and scholars. The northeastern state has been ruled by Islamic party PAS for most of Malaysia's post-independence history. The party has held a firm grip over the state, despite its failure to deliver much material development. 39-year-old Abdul Malik attended Islamic schools for most of his life. He now works as a civil servant in Kelantan. He says faith and public service are intertwined, and this is fundamental for a generation eager to contribute to the progress of their beloved state.
Bagaimana situasi suasana yang dibentuk oleh kerajaan negeri, mana cocok dengan apa yang kita dibesarkan di kalangan sekolah-sekolah, ya. Sebenarnya bukan Tok Guru ataupun pimpinan kerajaan negeri mengajar kita untuk menjadi jumud, menolak pembangunan, tapi ianya menjadi seiring dengan pembangunan rohani dan juga jasmani.
PAS has mastered the art of projecting its Islamic credibility with fervour. It's what gave them the edge over its main rival UMNO, a Malay nationalist party that's seen to be secular. PAS wants to form an Islamic state, one that is built on Islamic values such as promoting moral conduct, upholding social justice, and championing economic equity. Undeniably, Malay and Islamic identities play a central role in politics here in Kelantan. Parties must employ this rhetoric in order to effectively connect with voters. But projecting an Islamic image alone isn't enough to sustain power. And so the question arises, how has PAS successfully maintained its rule in the state for decades? Observers say PAS's success lies in their deep-rooted connections with the community. It engages in grassroots activities such as religious and social programs, from giving political sermons in mosques to setting up party-affiliated kindergartens.
We must not discount the role played and the welfare and how it reaches down to the ground. It tackles problems, people's basic needs to continue living. PAS actually goes to the grassroots to visit an ailing person, a person seeking help, and it's how the party touches people at the grassroots. And we cannot deny the role played by the PAS Muslimah wing, or the women's wing. They were also quite active.
PAS has built a fortress in Kelantan, and it's solidifying its influence in Terengganu and Kedah. Together with another Malay party, Bersatu, PAS is part of the Perikatan Nasional coalition that in GE15 swept all but one parliamentary seat in these 3 states. Observers have termed PN's triumph as the green wave, and the tides seem to be moving west and south. For decades, the battle for Terengganu has always been between Islamic party PAS and Malaysia's grand old party UMNO. But just 9 months ago in GE15, PAS and its partner in the Perikatan Nasional coalition Bersatu solidified their dominance by winning all parliamentary seats in the state. Yet, before the Terengganu Legislative Assembly was dissolved, Perikatan Nasional held 22 seats, while Barisan Nasional held 10. Both sides of the political divide are now gearing up to secure victory in the upcoming state polls in August. When voters head to the polls, their choices will send a clear message about who they want running their state. Will it be a reaffirmation of support for the Islamic party PAS and that green wave, or will voters here in Terengganu give a new chance to UMNO, who is now part of their unity government alongside Pakatan Harapan? Confidence runs high among PN leaders in Terengganu as they ride on the momentum of the green wave, a term associated with the coalition's remarkable performance in the East Coast.
Pada saya, sehingga sekarang tiada tanda-tanda kemerosotan lah. Momentum itu bahkan lebih baik. Gelombang hijau akan diteruskan kerana kita melihat satu persatu kelemahan kerajaan pusat pada hari ini. Sehingga hari ini pemerintahan kerajaan yang ada dilihat tidak membantulah khususnya kepada rakyat negeri Terengganu.
On the opposing end, veteran UMNO leader Ahmad Said has been tasked by BN to recapture the state. Disagreeing with Perikatan Nasional, the former Chief Minister of Terengganu says the state will benefit more if it aligns closely with the federal government.
Kita mestilah selaras antara kerajaan negeri dan kerajaan pusat. Kalau tidak, masa timbul masalah dari segi peruntukan, dari segi hubungan antara kerajaan negeri dan kerajaan pusat. Kita bergantung pada kerajaan pusat. Dari bajet, dari segi apa semua. Kerajaan negeri bukan banyak sangat duit.
But the unity government faces its own challenges at the grassroots level. Bringing together supporters of both Barisan Nasional and Pakatan Harapan after decades of being sworn enemies is a task that requires careful navigation and cooperation. And as the battle for Terengganu intensifies, it remains to be seen which party will gain the upper hand and secure the trust of the people in the state.